porque à tarde estou cansado. Sigo a estrada do regresso, e quando volvo os meus olhos além.
Well, this was supposed to be our first attempt at a proper aviation video, but because of problems with cameras and flat batteries and mounts and all sorts of other things, editing software, it's not going to really work. But we'll give it a go anyway, just to get some material and see if we can splice it together. It'll be two of us. And not this aeroplane, this is rather previously we flew this aeroplane to Italy, but today we're in Giulia Sierra, which is Here we all are in the aeroplane. We're waiting now for start up, so I'm going to run through a few more checks. Done the external checks, the A checks. I'm going to do the internal checks. Then we're going to start up and line up for runway 28 at Sherburn. And here we have the rest of the crew. And you can see here the route we're planning to do. It starts from Sherburn, crosses over the middle of Leeds, runs upwards over St James's Hospital past Leeds Bradford Airport, turns slightly eastwards towards Harrogate, Follyfoot area, then northwestwards up over the Lake District, turning at Penrith, and subsequently passing down between Haweswater and Ullswater, running along the length of Windermere before turning back towards Leeds Bradford airspace, passing just to the west of Bradford, and finally descending back over Wakefield, Went Bridge, Ferry Bridge, and back into Sherburn. Running through a few checks here while we're sitting on the main apron, setting up instruments, checking flying controls are full and free, setting up frequencies and so on. The checklists, I have a copy on a laminated card, but the one I normally use is the version in the pilot's operating handbook, the PDF of which is in my iPad, and that sits on an iPad kneeboard. And power checks complete. We're now taxiing to the final hold to check that the approach is clear before lining up on runway 28 for a westerly departure towards South Leeds. The whining sound that you hear is the sound of the fuel boost pumps, which are switched on for takeoff and landing. And as the approach is all clear, we're lining up and checking the approach is clear, pitot not required, transponder on, landing lights on, and we're lining up for runway 28, checking the alignment. Then, prior to takeoff, we're checking that temperatures and pressures are in the green for both engines, and levers fully forward, mixtures full rich, propeller levers fully forward, and then we're just running up the engines to 2000 RPM, everything good, brakes off, and away she goes, and throttle's coming up to full. Just checking that the fuel flows are good, and as we rotate and lift off the runway, little tap on the brakes, and gear up, landing lights come off, and then we wait for 200 feet. At 200 feet, if there's a positive rate of climb, flaps come up, and for noise abatement we can reduce the manifold pressures to 25 inches and the propeller speeds to 2500 RPM out of consideration to our neighbours.
Eu peguei em saudades tuas, fui plantá-las no meu jardim, porque sei que assim continuas aqui bem juntinho a mim. E cantando a saudade eu sei, algo aqui há de nascer. Se tristeza eu semeei, alegria hei de colher, alegria hei de colher.
Those of you familiar with flying older Pipers, the older Cherokees, will be familiar with the overhead trim worm, which is rather like a car window winder, but actually I rather like it. It's out of the way, it's easy to get to, it moves freely and easily. On this aircraft I also have electric trim, but I tend to disable the electric trim and pull the circuit breaker during takeoff and landing, as I prefer to trim the aircraft manually. Stunning views up here with parts of the city of Leeds out to our left and slightly behind us, and Harrogate and North Yorkshire on the nose.
Outras memórias felizes, vento que nos vergueia, não nos vai quebrar raízes. E cantando eu sei que fica a saudade bem aqui, e a esperança que nos dá vida.
Lake Windermere on the nose, along with a large number of unfortunate insects, also both on the nose and the screen. After leaving the Lake District, our next turn is southwards towards Skipton. And our final turning point is over the township of Shelf between Bradford and Halifax, before our final turn towards Wakefield, and then northwards to Sherburn and Herne. Finally, this is the final version of the route as actually flown, as recorded in Google Earth. So not bad for a first flight after lockdown.